I love genre films in general, and a ghost story is very much a genre film. So it's always a fascinating thing to understand the building blocks that make this kind of movie. You know, they're quite technical. You need very talented directors who will kind of build the story and build the tension, build the surprises. But having said that, also playing a real life woman, Sarah Winchester, did exist, who was a mystery. You know, no one quite knows why she built this extraordinary house, which is known as the Mystery House. I love the fact that it was a real person, and to investigate that history, which I didn't really know anything about before. I think it's great that it is a true American story. It's not ghosts from the medieval ages in Europe. This is a real American story. It's American history. It's the creation of an American thing, the Winchester rifle. So I love that, and in that sense, it's absolutely authentic. Well, the house exists. You can go and you can walk through it, and I hope many people do after they've seen the movie, because we recreated the house absolutely exactly in a studio. But the house itself is very full of atmosphere. It's not. There's an atmosphere there. I wouldn't say it's a spooky one. It's not frightening, because I think Sarah Winchester herself was a very, very kind and sweet person, very full of love. But it's weird. It's undoubtedly very weird and quite pretty. I don't know that I'm a believer in ghosts as such, but I do have a certain amount of belief in psychic energies, maybe. I think it's an area that we don't yet fully understand, and maybe in another 500 years' time we'll know a lot more about it. But it certainly is a fascinating subject, and it's thrown up a lot of questions, in the history of humanity. There have always been those questions.
Well, what I'm doing here, I'm a spiritual medium. So I've been to the Winchester house several times and live seances there. So I'm going to do a live seance here tonight and do messages for the audience. It'll be pretty fun, spooky, and great. Well, I'm able to see energy and feel energy and read energy, and there are certain rooms that were very creepy, and I wouldn't necessarily go near them because it's just creepy. It was like a heavy feeling. And there are other rooms that are just very light and happy. And then I met a lot of people that worked there, and I told them things that were going on in the house, and they said, yes, they validated, oh, yes, that's what's going on. And I would see workmen, ghosts walking around, and said, oh, I see this guy over there. Yes, he's known to come here all the time and haunt the place. So it was fun. It was great. I learned something every time I went there, and I found it was very interesting because I was told there are certain rooms, and I asked the tour guide I was with, and she said, yes, that room was around over there, and it was used this way, and she said, yes, exactly, it was used that way. So it was all validated. It felt like I was back home the second time I went there. I was very familiar with it, so it was fine. It was fun, and I really want to work with them to keep that house going because it's really an incredible place.
I think they can feel like they know part of it. They can own part of it. That they can go and experience it beforehand and afterwards. If you want to read about it, if you want to go, to the house when you're finished. It's like Disneyland. It's like you go on the ride, you expect something, and it gives you more, and you remember it forever. You're going to wonder whether it still exists because we destroyed it. I mean, we really destroyed it. A lot of my blood on that floor. We shot it, and then I went and explored it myself, and it was great to go around all these places that I think that I've been in, that I've shot in, and I hid in that cupboard, or I fell down those stairs, or it's quite an experience. And then when you see it for the first time in real life, you realize the great beauty of it. It's incredibly beautiful. I'm one of those fence-sitting, suspicious dudes that always, believe in fate and bad luck. So, no, nothing's ever tapped me on the shoulder. I've been scared before, yes. Well, they got to love what you talk about. Do you believe? Do you really believe? Although you've just spent 1.5 hours being scared, a lot. So you're going to have, a lot of reason to believe, and maybe you're still a skeptic. My character's a skeptic until he does believe.
We've been working on this for 3 years, so to be here it's sort of become slightly surreal after a while, you know. It's great. It's fantastic.
We're so blessed to have Helen Mirren and Jason Clarke in our film, so we're thrilled we got to make a haunted house movie with those guys, you know. Peter and I took a trip to the Winchester house, it's a real place, it's in San Jose. Check it out, it's awesome, right? So we went to the house and it inspired the idea for the story. We wanted to learn more about the character Sarah Winchester. And we developed the script with the help of the historians and the Winchester house over the better part of 2 years. And we always said, you know, Helen Mirren would be great for this movie, never thinking we'd actually get her, right? So then we went out to Helen and she was really receptive. I think she loved the idea of the Sarah Winchester, the person, she was a progressive thinker, she was an inventor, she was a pioneer. I think Helen was really drawn to that, so it was wonderful to be able to get Helen. And once we got Helen, it kind of opened the floodgates for other incredible actors like Jason Clarke and Sarah Snook, Angus Sampson, so it was wonderful.
That is a balancing act because there is true events that do happen in the film. I mean, it's very much based on a whole bunch of very real things, and then at the same time you've got certain mythology that you want to include, that parts of it might be true, parts of it might be myth, you know, it's hard to know, but we tried to gather as much as we could to kind of put it into the film. And you still want to tell a good story and you still want to make it something that's entertaining ultimately, and hopefully also very scary. I think it would be a mistake to say that there's nothing out there because I just simply don't know. I personally haven't experienced anything, but I think I wouldn't deny somebody that has or says they have, so I don't know. I'm going with the I don't know answer.
I'm going with the idea of energy, and like once we pass away there might be an energy that kind of lingers on, and so if that's an apparition, if that's a ghost, if that's some sort of feeling, then yeah, maybe there's something, maybe.
Well, the house is a real place that exists in San Jose. It's a tourist attraction that people can see tomorrow if they want to, and it's a place that Sarah did build 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and did it to appease or placate ghosts, and she inherited the Winchester rifle fortune. So she had tremendous wealth, and so she could build whatever she wanted to. And so the house doesn't have a lot of rhyme and reason. It's just a woman who loved architecture, who wanted to build. And so, yeah, it's an amazing character in a very, very unique place.
We recreated specific rooms, like we recreated them as meticulously as we could. So that was incredible. It's hard to shoot at the actual house though, because now it has sprinkler systems and exit signs, and it's a popular tourist attraction, so it's not quite, it was a little difficult, but we did definitely shot at pieces of the film at the house. It's an incredible place, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, so it's really easy to get lost in the house. And every time I go there, and I've been there like a dozen times, and I still get lost. So it's an amazing place.
What Michael and I loved was the character of Sarah Winchester, and she's a progressive, smart, inventive woman who was ahead of her time in many respects, and I think that's what also attracted Helen to the role. I think this is a film about a woman who feels guilt over a rifle fortune and the implication of the rifle and what that meant to warfare, and it's just a fascinating woman who's really ahead of her time.
Peter and I love haunted house, scary ghost movies, and if you want to go see a thrill that kind of gets you jumping out of your seat, this is a fun, scary movie. And I think it's a fun, scary movie in the classic sense. You know, we did a lot of stuff for real. We tried to shoot everything as practically as we could, so it's not a CGI-heavy movie. It's more like real, you know, so I hope that if you want to go see that and if you want to go have a good time and get scared, check out Winchester.